Hello, good evening. How are we? This is a celebration. One of the classes I took here at Santa Clara when I was an undergrad was an art history class. And one of the paintings we studied was the famous picture of Washington crossing the Delaware. You may have seen it before. I actually saw it recently in an airport. It was used as an advertisement, and the tagline below it said, "Leadership, pass it on." For those of you who haven't seen it, or might be unfamiliar, there's multiple boats crossing the river, and in the foreground is a boat with George Washington. There are about 10 people seated, paddling in a small rowboat. The sun is shining on Washington's face, and he stands proudly with one foot on the bow of the boat, kind of like this, and an American flag is flying behind him. It's well done, but the most interesting thing about this piece of art is actually everything that is wrong with it. Washington's army crossed in the dead of night. There was no sun. An American flag flying, but America didn't exist yet. We were still the colonies. And for those of you who know anything about boating or fishing, you'd know that nobody in their right mind would ever stand in a rowboat or put their foot on the bow like that, because if you did, you would capsize and you would not be dry for long. And yet that pose, that imagery, is often used to describe leadership. One single dominant leader, head and shoulders above everybody else, the smartest person in the room who has the answer to everything. And if only we just follow him, we'll be on the path to success. We'll win the war. We'll be victorious. But like so much else in that painting, I also think that idea of leadership is wrong. Today, in a world more than ever that moves at the speed of light and is increasingly complicated and interconnected, no one can know everything about everything. And the types of leaders that we need are the connectors, the servants, the empaths. Leaders must still certainly have a vision and be competent in their field, but must also be just as skilled in the ways of communication and emotional intelligence. The leaders we need today are those who will step to the front when it's their area of expertise, but are self-aware and humble enough to be that first follower when they know that someone else is better positioned to take a leadership role. The leaders of today must be willing to take on the responsibility and pressure of scoring the goal when the ball is at their feet, but also have the vision to play to a teammate and provide the assist when that is the better path, or when there is someone else in a better position to score. I had the good fortune of coming to Santa Clara, and like you all, I received education and learned the skills that I needed to pursue my career. But it was so many other skills that I learned, skills that were less about facts and more about ways of being and ways of thinking that I rely on even more deeply to this day. I learned to know my strengths and to nurture those just as much, if not more, than working on my weaknesses. Your strengths are what make you special. And they are likely what will help you progress farthest as you pursue your goals. If you got a midterm worth 30% and a final worth 70, which one are you going to study for more? Which one's going to make the biggest difference? I played for the U.S. women's national team, and I was a left-footed defender, and I had good speed. I could run up and down the field all day long. But I didn't make the national team because my right foot was adequate enough to hang. I had to work on my right foot, and believe me, I did that all day long. Jerry Smith will tell you it's true. But I was on the national team because I had a darn good left foot, and I was one of the best left-footed attacking defenders in our country. I spent most of my time working on that. Know your strengths and nurture them. It's what makes you unique. When I reflect back on my time as a soccer player and my time with the women's national team, I believe one of the reasons we had so much success was that we had so many competitive and yet uniquely talented women, all with different strengths, all who were willing to strive for individual excellence every day, and yet also put the team before themselves. We did it together. You took responsibility when the ball was at your feet, and then you passed it on when someone else was in a better position than you. And today, why I am so particularly humbled to stand before you is because I can think of no group more important to hold the torch of responsibility when it comes to leading through connection and working with others so we can all succeed. As you step forward into your various careers, know that you are in the shared business of connecting with people to influence futures, spark joy, save lives, shape souls. In our world of social media, it might seem as the athletes and the celebrities and the tech entrepreneurs are in the spotlight and are the ones leading us into the future. You are the leaders this world needs most. And I don't say that to add pressure. I say it because as a member of your community, I am so grateful that each of you have chosen this path. I feel better about our world because you are here. My career on the national team was much shorter than I would have hoped. My career ended to injury, and when I couldn't play anymore, I not only felt like I'd lost my job, I felt as if I'd lost a part of myself, my identity. I wasn't just a girl who played soccer, I was a soccer player. And when I didn't have that anymore, I didn't really know who I was. I sort of chuckle when I think back on it because it was at this very time of year, and I was listening to someone else give a commencement speech, and I'll never forget it because the speaker said something to the effect of, "Find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life." I was like, found it, had it. I don't get to do that anymore, so what the hell am I supposed to do now? You couple that with the fact that everywhere I went in the world, people wanted to ask me about soccer. What was it like to play in the Olympics? Can I see your medal? How was the World Cup? And I had this fear, this deep-seated fear inside of me that what if the best and most interesting thing in my life has already happened? I'm 25 years old. What am I supposed to do for the next 75 years of my life? I was struggling, I was flailing, I didn't know what to do, and so you know what I did? I started to apply all of these tools that I'd learned as an athlete. Put your head down, do the work, grind it up, suck it out. All my counseling psychologists will tell me that turns out you can't do those things with your feelings. I wasn't applying the right tools. I didn't have those yet in my toolbox. I was complaining one night about not knowing what to do with my career or my life, and my boyfriend then, husband now, he said, "You know what you do, Danielle? You just pick something. You walk through a door, you see what's happening in that room, you listen to your feelings about it, and then you either stay or you turn your butt around and you walk back out and you find another door. Your next dream, your next passion might be in that initial room, sure. But for me, and I'm guessing for many, it was often in the room, beyond the room, beyond the room. But you have to be courageous enough to walk through that first door and then pay attention to your thoughts and listen to your feelings when there. And if you can take that first step, I am confident for you all because you're set up for this. You have the benefit of having learned and practiced the art of listening while here and getting your degree. Listening to your students to see what the next thing is that will unlock their learning. Listening to your clients who come to you for counseling or guidance or growth. Listening to others in your faith as they share their questions, curiosities, and thirst for understanding. Make sure you listen to yourself as much as you listen to those you are serving. I've had to reinvent myself many times along the way in my career. No one gets to stay a professional athlete forever. Change is inevitable in the career that I chose. But I've been a professional athlete, a coach, an educator, a fundraiser, a broadcaster, and proudly the founder of a women's professional soccer team. I've been able to reinvent myself because I learned how to be brave enough to walk through a new door and listen intently to myself when I was in that new place, even if I didn't want to and even when I was scared, because it can be scary, no doubt. Can't deny that. It was difficult, especially at first, but when I started using the new tools that I'd gained to open new doors, and after I was in those new rooms for some time, I faced new challenges and new fears, but I was stronger, more courageous, and finally in a position again to use some of those tools I'd learned as a professional athlete. Life wasn't getting easier. I was just better equipped to handle the hard. One of the skills we talked about all the time on the national team was controlling what you can control and letting go of the rest. In those new environments, when I was uncomfortable and worried, I found that skill to be particularly helpful. Let me tell you a quick story about the gold medal game of the Sydney Olympics. We'd practiced and had this mantra on the national team. Park it, park it. If you make a mistake, if there's something that you can't control, just like if you're going to the mall, you park your car, you go do what you gotta do, you do your shopping, but you're not thinking about your car the entire time. You're doing what you have to do. So we said this daily, weekly on the national team. Gold medal game, 30 minutes before we're taking on Norway. And one of our starters, a teammate who I will never say, locks eyes with our sports psychologist. She says, "Colleen, this is going wrong. I didn't have my lunch how I wanted. I forgot my uniform. My parents are bugging me. All these things that are going on." And Colleen looks at her and says, "You know what you got to do? You got to park it." And my teammate looks at her and she said, "The parking lot is bleeping full." And Colleen, in her infinite wisdom, said something to the effect of, "Well, honey, it looks like you got to build a deck. You don't have a lot, you have a deck. You got to put all those cars up there, and then you got to go play." And she had an amazing game, one of the best I'd seen her play. Control what you can control and park the rest. And as I near the end of this speech, I want to thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to slow down, look back. Only now, some 20 years later, can I start to see my own painting. Let me tell you, I think it's more beautiful than the one of Washington crossing the Delaware. At the time, I couldn't see every brush stroke, but now, with time, it's beginning to take shape, and I'm beginning to understand the nuance and the picture, and that is the story of my life. I hope you can see your picture earlier than mine. Appreciate it for its uniqueness, and enjoy the process of painting it along the way. So paint each stroke with care. Trust your path, even if you're unsure of what that image is going to look like in the end. Surround yourself with those you love and rely on them for support. Listen to them, but no more than you listen to yourself. Control what you can, park the rest, and continue to lead through connection. Congratulations, graduates.